I was setting up for my husband's birthday when my mother-in-law walked in and said, "This looks cheap. You always go for quantity over quality." My husband glanced around and said, "Maybe next year, let mom handle it." My sister-in-law added, "Pinterest can't save taste." I smiled and finished decorating. That night, I sent every guest a photo of what the room looked like before they arrived, when it was just me and beautiful. I'll never forget the exact words. I was tying ribbon around the last candle holder when she walked in and looked around like I'd just set up a garage sale. My hands still smelled like eucalyptus from the arrangements I made that morning. My back hurt from being on my feet all day. And that's when she said it. "This looks cheap. You always go for quantity over quality." She didn't even blink. Just dropped that insult like it was a helpful suggestion. Then my husband walked in, Paul. And instead of defending me, instead of saying anything remotely supportive, he looked around for 2 seconds and said, "Maybe next year, let mom handle it." I should start from the beginning.
I'm 38.
Been married to Paul for 7 years. No kids, just us. I work part-time at a local nonprofit, and he works in tech, makes good money, stable hours. We live in McKinney, Texas. Good schools, clean streets, family neighborhoods where everyone pretends things are fine. But they're not always. When I met Paul, I fell for him fast. He was calm, thoughtful, or at least he seemed that way. What I didn't see right away was that his entire personality revolved around keeping his mother happy. I mean that literally, he would cancel plans with me if she asked him to help her move a plant. His mom, Janice, has always hated me. I'm not exaggerating. She's never liked how I dress. She's never liked how I talk. She once told me, when I laughed too loud at a dinner, "Some women forget their place when they feel too comfortable." She treats me like I'm embarrassing, like I'm less than. She's the type who'll bring a better version of your dish to Thanksgiving and set it right beside yours. Paul's sister, Bree, is just a younger clone of her. All about brands, appearances, and underhanded insults disguised as jokes. I used to think they'd soften over time. That if I just kept being kind, helpful, considerate, they'd come around. But it's been 7 years, and they still see me as an outsider who somehow tricked Paul into marrying down. So when I started planning Paul's 40th birthday, I told myself I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for him because I thought he'd appreciate it. I thought maybe this time he'd finally see how much I cared. I rented the side room at a vineyard just outside town. Quaint, private, with dark wooden beams and twinkle lights. I picked out neutral tones, folded the menus myself, bought fresh greenery, and even sourced handmade candles from a woman in Austin who makes them with real pressed flowers. I poured my soul into it. I wanted it to feel like love. I got there at noon for a 7 p.m. party. Brought everything in myself. The food, the drinks, the decorations. I had calluses on my hands by the time I finished arranging the dessert table. Around 4:30, the door opened, and Janice walked in like she owned the place. She gave the room one look and made a face. "This looks cheap," she said. I didn't respond. Just kept arranging the napkins. You always go for quantity over quality. It's not about putting out a million little things. It's about taste. That's when Paul walked in. I thought maybe he'd see what I'd done and say something nice. Just one kind word. Instead, he barely looked around and said, "Maybe next year, let mom handle it." My throat tightened. I felt the heat behind my eyes, but I didn't say anything. I just nodded and said, "Sure." Then Bree came in. Fresh manicure, full face of makeup, and that smug little smirk she always wears when she's about to say something cruel. "Pinterest can't save taste," she said. But cute effort. She was laughing when she said it, like we were sharing some private joke. I still said nothing. They spent the next hour hovering around, adjusting things I'd already said, whispering about the catering. Janice told one of the staff members to refold those napkins correctly, even though I'd spent the whole morning getting them just right. By the time the guests arrived, I was exhausted. But the room looked beautiful. Warm, intimate, elegant. Everyone said so. Paul didn't mention me during his little speech. He thanked his mom,
Bree.
even his assistant for keeping him organized. But not a single word about the person who poured every ounce of energy into that room. And yet I smiled. I handed out drinks. I passed around hors d'oeuvres. I even laughed at Bree's third dig about my outfit. But I wasn't smiling inside. I was paying attention to every person who complimented the decorations while Janice stood there pretending she had a hand in it. To every time Paul leaned on her shoulder like she was the one who made the night happen. To every time I got passed over, dismissed, erased. Around 9:15, I stepped outside. I had taken photos earlier, before anyone had arrived. The room, lit and quiet. Just me, standing in the center of it all. One wide shot from the corner that showed the full setup. It looked like something out of a magazine. I went through my guest list, 35 people.
Friends.
Co-workers. Neighbors. All of them had said some version of, "Wow, who did this?" earlier. So I sent them all the photo. No caption, no long explanation. Just, this is what the room looked like before anyone came in. Before it was criticized. Before it was claimed. And then I put my phone away and walked back in. After I sent the photo to everyone, I didn't wait for replies. I didn't check to see who'd read it. I just slid my phone back into my purse and walked back into that room like nothing had happened. The rest of the night moved in a blur. Toasts, laughter, music. Paul was in his element, soaking up attention like a sponge. Janice stood beside him most of the night, nodding and smiling like she'd been the one who booked the venue and folded each damn napkin. I watched her take credit right in front of me. I watched people say, "Janice, this is stunning," and her reply with, "Well, you know I have an eye for these things." Paul didn't correct them. Bree kept her little jabs going. "Next time we'll just hire a planner, right?" She whispered to Paul at one point, loud enough for me to hear. "Or let Mom take it. It's more her thing." I just kept smiling. Quiet.
Calm.
The way they expect me to be. But the fallout started before the night was even over. It started with Paul's coworker Heather. She came up to me near the end of the night, when most people were heading out. "You did all this?" she asked, her brow furrowed. She had her phone in her hand, my message open on the screen. "Yes," I said. "I did." She looked around, then back at me. "I had no idea. Everyone thought your mother-in-law put this together." I didn't say anything, just smiled. Heather didn't smile back. She just nodded slowly and walked away. By the next morning, things had shifted. Paul noticed it first. He came into the kitchen while I was making coffee, his phone in hand. "What the hell did you send to everyone?" I kept stirring my mug. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "Don't play dumb," he snapped. "That photo. That message. What, are you trying to make my mom look bad? At my birthday party?" I didn't flinch. "I sent a picture of the room before anyone got there," I said. "It's not my fault if people assumed things." "You're acting petty," he said. "This isn't a competition." "It wasn't," I replied. Not until she made it one. That's when he walked out.
No apology. No reflection.
Just left the room. Later that week, I got a text from Bree. "Real mature move. Jealousy looks bad on you." I didn't respond, but things kept unraveling. Two of Paul's friends, guys he's known since college, reached out to me directly. One said, "Did your mother-in-law really take credit for all that?" The other said, "That message that hit. I told my wife, and she was pissed for you." Turns out, a few of the wives had been talking. One of them, Kelly, told me at a yoga class later that week, "Honestly, I used to think you were just quiet. But now I see it. You've been sidelined." That's when I realized this wasn't just about decorations. Or one party. This was about a pattern. A long, ugly pattern of being erased. And it wasn't just Janice. It was Paul, too. He let it happen. Over and over. He sat in silence while I was insulted. He watched his mother treat me like an afterthought and never once stepped in. He let his family act like I didn't matter because, to him, I probably didn't. 2 days after the party, Janice called. She left a voicemail. I didn't answer. The message was clipped and cold. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but your little stunt embarrassed my son. You need to apologize and fix this. I played it twice, then deleted it. A week passed. Paul barely looked at me. No mention of the party. No thank you.
No acknowledgement.
Just a cold wall between us. But I had time. Time to think. Time to look back on 7 years of being left out of holiday photos. Of being told, let mom host Thanksgiving. She does it better. Of smiling through insults. Of picking up the emotional slack while his mother held the spotlight. That party was the last time I would let them step on me without a fight. Because I'd already started planning something else. Something bigger. Something they wouldn't see coming. After that night, the silence in the house got heavier. Paul didn't talk to me unless it was absolutely necessary. He acted like I'd broken some unspoken rule, like I'd embarrassed him by refusing to be invisible. But I wasn't embarrassed. I was awake. Something cracked open in me, and once it did, I started noticing everything I'd ignored for years. Like how Paul hadn't touched me in months. How he always had to stay late at work but never came home with stories. How he took Janice's calls in another room and came back looking guilty. I'd been so focused on surviving his family's coldness, I hadn't even noticed how far gone he was. One morning, 2 weeks after the party, I got a message I wasn't expecting. It was from Paul's coworker. Not Heather, the one who noticed the truth at the party. This was someone else. A woman named Denise. I'd met her once.
Quiet. Kind.
Her message was short.
Hey.
I don't want to cause drama, but you deserve to know. I've seen Paul and your sister-in-law Bree go out alone multiple times. Coffee, lunch, drinks after work. It's not professional.
I'm sorry.
I sat on the floor in the laundry room and read it 4 times. Then I vomited into the trash can. I didn't even know how to process it.
Bree?
She hated me. She'd always hated me. But Paul? I didn't confront him. Not yet. I needed time. I needed proof. Because if what Denise was hinting at was real, if Paul and Bree had something going on, then this was bigger than a bad birthday party. It was betrayal on another level. So I started watching. Quietly. I checked our phone records. Bree's number showed up on his logs almost every day. Midday calls. Late-night texts. He'd even deleted some. I checked the location history on his shared Google account. One entry stood out. 10:47 p.m., 2 days after the party. A hotel bar near Legacy West in Plano. Bree had posted a photo that night on her Instagram story. A wine glass, vague caption, no face. I screenshotted everything. Every record. Every message. I printed it all. But I didn't explode. Not yet. Instead, I began to shift things in the background. First, I contacted a lawyer. Quietly. Just to understand what was mine, what wasn't, what options I had. I learned a lot. I found out the house wasn't just in Paul's name like he always made it sound. My name was on the mortgage. My name was on the deed. The money I put in, he never acknowledged it, but it counted. Next, I began collecting every receipt from the birthday party. The room rental. The decorations. The candles. The food. The printing. Everything I'd paid for. Paul had never even asked. I wanted the final dollar amount just for me. A reminder of what I gave financially, emotionally, spiritually. Then I reached out to Heather. I told her thank you for being kind at the party. I asked her if she'd noticed anything else strange with Paul. She hesitated, then told me something that twisted my stomach into knots. Honestly, a few of us wondered. The way he talks about Bree, it's weird. Like he lights up when she calls. And once, at the office holiday thing, someone saw her fix his tie. It looked intimate. It wasn't a smoking gun, but it was more smoke. And I was done pretending I didn't smell fire. Then something unexpected happened. Janice showed up at my house. I didn't even know she was coming. Just rang the bell like it was a normal Sunday. I opened the door, and there she was, pearls, smug smile, holding a Tupperware container. I brought my brisket. Thought you could use a real meal, she said, walking in without waiting for permission. I stood there, stunned. She set the container on the counter, then turned to me, arms crossed. I talked to Paul, she said. He told me what's been going on. This jealousy, it's not healthy. You're tearing this family apart over decorations.
I didn't say anything.
Just let her talk. You've always been insecure, she continued. I tried to be patient, but now you're dragging my son's name through the mud. You're embarrassing him. And Bree, too. She's done nothing to deserve your suspicion. That's when I knew. For sure. She knew.
About them.
That little speech wasn't just damage control, it was a warning. She wanted me quiet, obedient, erased. I walked over, picked up the Tupperware, and placed it gently back in her hands. Take your brisket, I said. And take your warnings with you. She stood there, stunned. I'd never spoken to her like that. Excuse me, she said. You heard me, I said. Get out of my house. She left, furious. And I knew what was coming next, the smear campaign. The phone calls to family. The whispered warnings that I was unstable, vengeful, trying to ruin a good man. They could try whatever they wanted. Because I wasn't done yet. I had something planned for all of them. Something quiet, strategic, brutal in its precision. They wanted to humiliate me. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The day I left, I didn't slam doors or make a scene. I just packed everything I had quietly, methodically, while Paul was at work. I took what was mine, clothes, heirlooms, every receipt from the party, the photos I took before everyone arrived. And I left behind a single folder on the dining table. Inside that folder was a printed copy of the mortgage statement with my name circled, the photos of Paul and Bree's phone logs, the location data, the screenshots from Denise and Heather, and a final note, handwritten, no emotion, just facts. You let your mother humiliate me. You let your sister lie to me. And you let them both feel safe doing it. I gave you everything. Now I'm taking back my peace. Then I drove to my sister's place in Fort Worth. We hadn't spoken much in years. We'd had our issues, but I'd called her a week before and told her everything. She'd simply said, "Come." No questions. That night, I slept more soundly than I had in months. But I wasn't done. Leaving Paul was one thing. Exposing them was another. I filed for divorce a few days later. Through my lawyer, I requested a full accounting of our finances, including the house, retirement, and shared credit. I knew Paul would be caught off guard. He always assumed I had no backbone. He'd find out quickly I'd been paying attention. He didn't take it well. He showed up at my sister's house 2 weeks later, uninvited, yelling from the driveway like a teenager. Why are you doing this? You want to ruin my life because of a party?
I didn't go outside.
I just stood behind the window, watching him scream into the night. My sister called the cops. He left before they showed up. Then came Janice. She went full PR mode, calling mutual friends, church ladies, neighbors, telling them I was mentally unwell, that I'd snapped, that Paul had tried to help me but I was too unstable, that the marriage failed because I was jealous of his bond with his family. So I gave the truth a little help. Remember the guests I'd messaged with the photo from the party? Some of them had responded with concern, some with support. A few had ignored it altogether. But one of them, Kelly, the yoga friend, was also a moderator of the local Facebook moms group. A group Janice happened to post in constantly, showing off her cooking, her family, her perfect daughter, Bree. Kelly asked me if I wanted to tell my side of things. I thought about it for a full week. Then I gave her everything. A write-up of the birthday party. The comments Janice made. The silence from Paul. The affair. Yes, I used the word. I attached screenshots. I blacked out numbers. I never mentioned their names directly. But people knew. The post blew up. Within hours, people started messaging me. Is this about Janice's family? Wait, Bree. Did Paul really let her take credit for the party? Janice deleted her account 2 days later. Bree made her Instagram private. Paul stopped showing up at his gym. And I kept quiet. I didn't gloat. I just watched as they finally got to feel what I'd felt for years, disrespected, dismissed, and utterly alone. The divorce finalized 3 months later. I got the house. He tried to fight it, but I had proof of everything I'd contributed. And my lawyer didn't flinch. Paul moved into a condo near his office. I heard through mutual friends he was drinking more, sleeping around, spiraling. Bree tried to recover her image. Claimed nothing ever happened between her and Paul. But someone leaked an old text from her to a coworker. If my brother wasn't so boring, I'd date Paul myself. That alone got her booted from a charity board she was on. And Janice? She sent me a letter. A single page. You've always been small, bitter, vindictive. You'll die alone, and no one will remember you. I burned it. Then I mailed her a copy of the receipt from the birthday party venue. At the bottom, I wrote, "This is what love looked like before your son threw it away." I've been gone a year now. I sold a house, moved to Austin, and I'm slowly rebuilding. It's not perfect. I still wake up some mornings thinking of the things I let slide for too long. But I'm not invisible anymore. And the next time someone tells me my love isn't enough, I'll know better than to stay quiet.